Welcome to the Arsenal Show. We are live. I'm joined by Steve K. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, good. Oh, top button done up then.
Oh,
So that's a bit,
staying. He ain't messing about.
that's a bit uncool, isn't it? It's top button.
I mean, top button was the in thing about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
so
no, that's a bit.
I reckon you can still get away with it. To be fair,
get away with it. Oh, I'm going to go for it.
He's going for it. Solid.
Start a new craze.
Very good. A new craze set by Steve. He doesn't.
Yeah.
Sets trends. He doesn't follow.
Yeah, mod, isn't it? Is it a mod? Yeah, is it mod? Yeah, I'm good. Good, mate.
It's not even new because, like you said, it's mod. So mod was out years ago. Modern rockers. You lot don't know about the modern rockers.
No. I was more of a soul boy, the old winkle picker type. You know.
Oh, the old Teddy boys. The old big shoes.
No, I ain't that old. God, leave that. God dear. Come here, getting salty. Teddy boys.
Winkle pickers.
Oh, winkle pickers. Yeah, they did, didn't they? Yeah.
I know winkle pickers. I had the same. People, I had the old pointy shoes, the old nose socks. Yeah, that's what we do back in the day. That's what we do. Like we did it first.
Yeah, haircuts. I used to have the wedge. Do you remember the wedge haircut? Soul boy haircut. It was, the way called it wedge. It's called soul boy haircut.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get out the old pictures, isn't he?
Yeah.
The wedge.
Yeah. Earrings, a lot, mate. Yeah. Anyway, we digest.
Anyway, we do. We've got plenty to talk about tonight. Arsenal's fixture list coming up. It's a busy fixture list. They've got 8 games in 4 weeks. The Champions League as well involved in that. So we'll be able to see where we stand in the league, where we stand in the Champions League. I'll ask Steve how he would go about the Champions League, considering it looks like we're pretty much a point away from being through. Does he start to blood some youngsters or rest some of the regulars? A bit of transfer news to see what's going on in the world of Arsenal, and of course, some injury updates as well. First and foremost, Steve, there's a big fixture list coming up. Let's take a little look at that. So we've got 8 games in 4 weeks, starting with Brentford away from home. It's going to be a tough one. Then we've got Champions League at home to Lens, which we can pretty much will tie up our Champions League group campaign if we can get a point from that one. Wolves at home. Wolves in good form. Gary O'Neill has kind of made that team a more attractive team again, like the early days of got his name, the old Tottenham manager. Away from home against Luton, although should be a pretty much easy 3 points. Luton are starting to pick up a little bit of momentum, and at home at the Council Flat Stadium. I don't know what it is called.
Kenilworth Road, isn't it?
This is someone's back garden. Aston Villa, Unai Emery comes back, hopefully not to haunt Arsenal. And then we've got PSV and Brighton, and then the big game against Liverpool at Anfield. Steve, let's focus on the league first of all. Brentford, Wolves, Luton, Villa, Brighton, and Liverpool. 6 tough fixtures. We'll pretty much lay out and show where Arsenal will be. Let's pull up the league table as well while we're here. After that run of fixtures, starting off with Brentford, tough game away to Brentford, but it's those games there which is like you don't want to say it in a way that Brentford aren't a tough team, but Arsenal have to win those games. They're going to be tough, but they've got to win those games.
Yeah, definitely, Matt. I mean, look, they're potential banana skins, aren't they? But you know, if you're going to go, if you've got any aspirations on winning titles or putting in a title run, you know, as we go into the new year, you've got to be going to places like Brentford and picking up, you know, 3 points. But you said you're right. Look, it's not going to be easy. You know, it's more or less been sort of classed now these days as a London derby, and although they will be without obviously Ivan Toney and David Raya, of course, that's going to be interesting. it's going to be interesting because Aaron Ramsdale's going to have to go in goal for that game because obviously David Raya,
Yes.
he's going to be cup tied for that.
Yes.
So there's going to be interesting. Will the pressure be on him? I dare say is that as it gets closer to Saturday and the kickoff, the pressure will be probably be put upon him by the media sites and media outlets, radio stations, etc., etc. So it's going to be hard, but we have to win this. We've got injuries. I think we had one difficult fixture, didn't we? When they first come into the Premier League and they beat us 2-0, and we was hit by injuries that day. Funny enough, it was
squad.
Yeah, but since then we don't. We tend to do quite well.
Mm-hmm. We had one draw against them after that, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so a few injuries. Again, I think the talking point's going to be Aaron Ramsdale, isn't it? On that one, it's a big, a big talking point leading up to the game. It's been it's starting to sort of, find its way into the sort of, the websites, etc., this week. On top of David Dean, his interview that he did, and he had his say about Mikel Arteta, which was quite interesting. But no, look, it's tough sitting middle table Brentford, mate. But it's got to be 3 points. No, draw's not really good enough, I think.
On Aaron Ramsdale, should he feel any pressure from this, or should this just be a game where he just should relax? Look, the chances are that David Raya is going to come back and go afterwards. Is there any point in Aaron Ramsdale, any unneeded pressure on himself?
There shouldn't be, he shouldn't be. But I dare say that there's a possibility that he will feel under some form of pressure, and that to me that's worrying. Because again, it's for me someone who doesn't like talking about the goalkeeping situation. It's even in my head because I'm partly thinking, how's he going to act? How's he going to be? Is he going to drop a clanger? We all hope he's just going to go in goal, be professional. But I don't know. I'm sure the pressure may be put on him a little bit. I'm probably thinking he's going to feel the pressure a bit. Again, you're a goalkeeper, Kieran. You might be able to answer it. How you might be able to get into his mind a little bit better than me. I think he might feel the pressure, but he shouldn't. But because of all the talk that's been going on beforehand, and the fact that not just Arsenal fans, I think, but I think like the eyes of footballs, everybody's going to be on Aaron Ramsdale on Saturday to see how he does. And it shouldn't be like this, but not so much Arsenal fans, although there probably is a few Arsenal fans. A lot of people will be waiting for him to slip up, and they'll have their pens and papers ready, waiting for him to slip up. Just hope he don't, mate. I just hope he don't. What do you think? Do you think he'll be able to just get on with it?
Yeah, I think it's got to be a game where he doesn't have to. He shouldn't be thinking about it. He shouldn't be thinking about it in the case of this is an opportunity to win my place back. Just play it how you would have played your old games. I think it's easy to be drawn into that because, especially when a new goalkeeper comes in, that's your first thought process. And when any player comes in and potentially takes your position, your first thought process is, I've got to get my position back. I've got to get my spot back. But with goalkeepers, it's going to take time. It's never going to be a case of Aaron Ramsdale has one good game and then comes back in goal. It's not the way it's rotated, and it's not really rotated like that as a player. Not unless there's been an intentional swap through bad form, injury outlay, and then the player's come in and has been over there over a long period of time, a few weeks, and deserves to keep their spot. Again, different. We saw it with Martinez and Leno, so it can happen. But there's just no point in thinking that way right now. It's one game. If Ramsdale is to come in, it will be if Raya's had a bad patch of form and Arteta thinks he needs to swap him, or if Raya has an injury and Ramsdale comes in. So it's just got to treat it just like any other game.
Yeah,
and try and win Arsenal the 3 points, and that's what's important. And I think, if I'm honest, that's the way Aaron Ramsdale will be thinking.
Yeah. I think you're right. I mean, from like his point of view, I mean, do you think that Ramsdale goes in goal? He has an absolute worldie. As gives us a couple of saves, keeps us in the games we go and win and pick up 3 points.
Yeah.
Do you think that that Ramsdale would start the following week, even if he did that, if he had an absolute blinder, smashed it 3-0, made a couple of saved the penalty, come off the pitch, man of the match, absolute fantastic Ramsdale.
No, I don't think that would be fair on Raya. And I think.
Do you think he knows that?
What?
Do you think you think Ramsdale knows? Do you think he can perform knowing that?
I think as a goalkeeper, I don't think Ramsdale would be thinking this is my opportunity to win my place back. I think it would be more. This is an opportunity to show I'm at level, to show how good I am, to show this. It's not to win the place back though, because I don't think it'd be that naive to think that one game would oust the goalkeeper. Because on the flip side, it's not fair on Raya. Like it wouldn't be fair on Ramsdale. Like it wouldn't be fair on Raya because Raya's played well the last game. There's no reason to drop him. So to off of a game which he had no choice in playing, it was through a contract situation. He wasn't allowed to play. Ramsdale's been brought in for that one game. Swap him after that wouldn't be right. It wouldn't make sense on Arteta's part. There's been games I've seen Raya play where I think it could have potentially even come out, but it would have been too harsh then. Off the back of one error or something like that. You can't. Players in general can't play with if they're on the back of their minds, they're thinking, if I make one mistake, I'm out. Like no one plays like that. No one plays. Haaland doesn't play thinking, if I miss my next chance, Alvarez is in. Because what do you think that he'd be relaxed when he goes in front of goal? No player has that on their mind. No player. So it's even worse as a goalkeeper. You can't be having it on your mind that if I have one mistake because there's so many different nuances and that people will see from one thing. I could catch a ball and I could think in my head, oh, that wasn't the greatest catch. It was slightly off. The next time I could have dropped that. Other people were thinking, great catch. I could punch it out and people were saying, why didn't he catch it? But it's got nowhere near the goal. It's cleared, whatever. Like, so there's people see things in different ways. So it's very hard to judge it like that. It's just one of those things. I don't think Ramsdale won't have his mind on thinking that this is going to be his opportunity to get back in the net. But he should just use it as like it's a competitive game in the Premier League, something he hasn't had in a while. So he should embrace it as well. Arsenal take on Wolves on the 2nd of December, followed by Luton Town and then Aston Villa. 3 games where we should be getting 9 points. Aston Villa is going to be a tricky one, meeting up with Unai Emery again. Villa have been in pretty good form this year. They're sitting in 5th in the league, only 2 points up of Arsenal. But again, these are games where you've got to be winning. Villa, it's going to be the toughest of the lot. But away from home at Luton and Wolves, 6 points. Villa should be no worry with the 9 points. But again, like I said, it's going to be a tricky fixture. But after those run of games, we've got Brighton at home and then Liverpool. once those games are done, Steve, the table's going to start really taking shape at that point. What after this start we've had so far? How do you? What's your predictions for the season for Arsenal?
Projections for the season.
Considering what we've done so far, what we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't. It hasn't been. Flowing. It hasn't been as exciting as what Arsenal was last season. But I don't know if I could say one of the few, but I quite like. I can see what Arteta's trying to do, and I'm more than happy with what I've seen. So far, we've lost one game away to Newcastle, which was under very sort of unforeseen circumstances. We won't go on too much about that, but we lost the game. We lost it 1-0, and it was away to Newcastle. These things happened, but we've bounced back since then. So and that was good to see. But yeah, look, I mean, I'm hopefully we'll get Timber back soon. So that that'll be something to look forward to. But going forward, yeah, look, I'm happy, mate. I'm happy. I think we're going to do well, and I think we'll challenge. I think it'll be a little bit different from the way we've seen Arsenal play last season. I think it'll be a different style. It'll probably be with a much slower build up. I think we'll see a lot more play and through the middle rather than down the flanks like we did last season. I think that's what Arteta wants. I think he wants to do that. I think he wants us to make us stronger in the middle of the park. He wants us to make us a lot better defensively because we lacked a little bit defensively last season, especially when Saliba went out. We didn't have the depth, and there was times during last season where our defenders were making too many mistakes. And although we've still sort of not, as we've already said, not playing the most fantastic fluent football, if you like. For me, we do look a lot more solid and do look a lot more difficult to beat. Gabriel and Saliba are looking better than ever. Their partnership just seems to be getting, stronger game by game. We've got excellent backup on the right and on the left. With White and Tomiyasu and and Zinchenko and Timber. It's looking good. I think we need to strengthen. I think if we strengthen with one, maybe two players in January, then for me, I think we can go. I think we can go all the way. I tipped us at the beginning of the season that I think we could win the league, and I'm not going to change that. I've not seen anything different to make me change it. I've seen the teams that we're up against. I've seen Manchester City. I've seen Liverpool. Been impressed with Liverpool. I think if they bring in a number 6, I think they could be a force. I think that, but they're missing at the moment someone at the base of their midfield. I don't think McAllister's it. I don't think he can do that job, and at the moment that's all they've got. So I think they'll need that if they want to go and win the title. Man City, I mean, again, do you know what I mean? I think they're again, there's times this season where they haven't looked great. They've got over the line. They've lost games this season, probably more games than they have at the beginning of the season than they had of any other year. So it's there and it's up for grabs. As I say, I do think we need a midfielder. I do think we need. Maybe if we can get a striker, great, brilliant. I've got trust in Mikel Arteta to bring in the right player at the right time, and I think we can go all the way. But like you said, there'll be a lot. We'll know a lot more after after the end of Christmas. We've got quite a favourable fixture list. You've got the awkward games. You pick out Aston Villa there. I mean that could be awkward. I mean they're playing very well this season at home. They're they're difficult to beat. Although I think they did get beat 4-0 by Brighton. I think was it 4-0 by Brighton, something like that, which was a bit of
the lay of the land this season with those teams that are really dangerous, like the Newcastles, the Brightons, the Villas. They've all had some bad results this season. I mean, Brighton, didn't they get done by Newcastle for 8, or was someone got done by Newcastle?
Yeah,
Villa
it's a
got
weird
done.
one, mate.
Newcastle have been done pretty bad this season. Yeah, no, it is definitely a weird one.
I think it's like as fixtures, like I said, I think they're very favourable. As I say, we've got Aston Villa. That's a difficult game away, no doubt. And then we've got the big one, like you said. It's that's Liverpool on I think it's December the 23rd at Anfield. That's that's going to be tough. You just want to get in and out. If you get a point like we did last year, get away from that. And then I think after that we've got another run of very winnable fixtures.
Yeah.
And then I think the next hard game is not until February when we actually play, coincidentally, Liverpool again.
So you think it's a good opportunity to really
put the foot on really put our foot on the accelerator. Villa away, Liverpool away. That the rest for me we should, and that's right up to February. This is a time where this is where Mikel Arteta should be looking at these fixtures and these next few months and thinking this is where now we need to put on the pedal, because after February, then it does get really difficult. So so that what it does, because now you think of January. Now, because of those run of fixtures, you don't want to make a cock up of it. Yeah, you don't want to get the odd draw against a silly team and the odd, God forbid, the odd loss because you haven't got a player to come in. We will get injuries. There's bound to get players injuries. So I think this January transfer window, for me, is a lot more important than what people think because of that. Just looking at that run of fixtures, because you do not want to go into February 6 points, 8 points, 10 points off. We need to make the most of now up until February. So let's get some business done in January, and make the most of it. But there's not no messing about now. It's like you said, accelerating now, trying to put the foot on the pedal and get these points on the board and no slip ups.
Yeah, we'll get on to the January transfer window in just a second. So after Brighton, it's Liverpool, and then it's a run of West Ham on the New Year's, Fulham, Palace, Nottingham Forest, and then Liverpool again, like you said, on the 3rd of February. Then it gets to West Ham, Burnley, Newcastle at home, Sheffield United, Brentford, and then we meet up with Chelsea and then Manchester City. So I'd say it's Newcastle at home, which is another different proposition. Brentford at home, Chelsea at home. These are tough games, but games you've got to be winning. And if you like you said, if you want aspirations of winning the league and you go on a nice run there, it's this patch here that you should be looking to get to take some points off teams around you as well, send some real messages, and then you've got the big one away to Manchester City. It's tough, but the fixtures, I think, are not favourable in terms of, because everyone plays everyone, but in terms of the layout, I completely agree with what you're saying. It breaks it up a bit, because I've noticed that some teams have had a little bit of an easy start, then we've got a real tough mix of games in one batch, and if you lose it, you lose the momentum with those games, and you get some real bad results. It can really go off your track.
It damages,
definitely. But ours is it's a nice little layout, and as well Champions League, Steve. So Champions League, the first fixture will be up against Lens on the 29th. So that's next Wednesday.
Yeah, next Wednesday. Yeah.
And then followed by PSV. Hopefully by then Arsenal are clear through in that group. How would you play that? Points needed at Lens or home against Lens to go through in that group. And then you've got PSV in the following game. What would you do? Would you be rotating a few players? Would you put your strongest team out against Lens? How would you play that?
For me, no. For me, it would be no messing about against Lens. Still need points. Need to finish top of the group. Don't want none of this finishing second lark, because that could sort of like really scupper us. I don't know how the other groups are going, but percentage wise, normally the best team finishes top. Mm-hmm. So we want to finish top. We also want to play our second game away leg first. We don't want to be playing it second. So that's another reason. So for me, against Lons, strongest squad. Is it on a Tuesday or a Wednesday? The Lons game.
The Lons game is on a Wednesday.
It's on a Wednesday. Yeah, well, whatever. Anyway, there's still plenty of time for them to have rest. Saturday till Wednesday. So yeah, look, go strong. And if we can build up a lead at half time, then fantastic. Bring some players off. That would be the ideal situation, and bring some of the fringe players on. But let's get the job done first. Mm-hmm. Let's beat Lons. Let's get the points on let's get the 3 points, and then when we come up against PSV, then and we're through and we finish top of the group, then we can just, I don't care who he plays. To be honest with you, yeah. He can get in the under-21s if he likes. So we can give Ramsdale a game, and get the fringe players in and let them all play. There would be no reason at all. Give them that little bit of experience of Champions League football, which is they don't come along all this very often, does it? So yeah, well, hopefully for us it does in the future. Hopefully we're there for the long term. But it's not often that you get an opportunity where you finish top of the group with a game to go. Yeah. So yeah, if you've got the opportunity to play some fringe players, some young kids, even players like Koza Dewberry, Nuami, and players like this, give them a run out. Raw Waters, give them a go. Let them feel what it's like to play at the Emirates in the Champions League with that music. It can only stand him in good stead, for their futures.
Yeah, Gavo says avoid going to PSV needing anything. Go full on versus Lons. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it's exactly what Steve is saying there. And the last thing you want is, like you said, you don't want to lose the game against Lons and then have to go into the game against PSV, needing only a draw, but then you've got to play for a win, because then PSV will also probably need something to get out of the game to ensure that they can get through into the group and not end up in the Europa League. So, because that last game, if we do drop points against or we do lose to Lons, that last game will mean we probably would have to win it, because both teams will be going for something, and we don't need that. And like you said, we want to give those opportunities to players to be under the lights in the evening of Champions League music playing. And one of the most important ones for me is Aaron Ramsdale, someone who was a major factor in the reason why we got to the Champions League. And it'd be good to see him finally get the minutes in that competition that I think he fully deserves.
Yeah, no, definitely, mate.
What we got next? You mentioned David Dean's comments. David Dean. Where is it? There it is. David Dean criticises Mikel Arteta over his decision to publicly blast VAR. Former Arsenal Vice President David Dean criticised Mikel Arteta in his post-match outburst following Arsenal's 1-0 loss to Newcastle United. The controversial goal for Newcastle United was awarded after VAR failed to notice the foul on Gabriel and the ball going out of play, causing a frustration for Arsenal fans. He said, "We only had one shot on goal, so you can't really say that the team deserved to win. It is what it is. The process is in place for how we deal with these things, and I think it was a little bit unnecessary. I don't think he did the image of the club any good. Dean does not have to be proud of Arteta, but nobody will be happy to feel the injustice that he meted. Then we did the right thing in supporting the manager publicly, and we hope that errors don't repeat themselves." What were your thoughts on those comments from David Dean? Because it's definitely a swipe at Mikel Arteta on potentially the image and the class that we have as a club. What were your thoughts on Dean's comments there?
Normally when David Dean speaks, we all listen, don't we? we've loved David Dein. He's done so much from the club. It was him and Arsene Wenger who probably reinvented, Arsenal Football Club. He was main man behind the Emirates Stadium, etc., etc. So I've got nothing to good things to say about David Dein, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't like his comments. I thought he should have just answered it a bit differently. I don't think. I can't speak for all Arsenal fans. It'd be interesting to see what guys in the comments think, but I can't speak for everyone. But I don't think he did himself any favours by coming out and saying what he did. Because basically what he's done, Arsenal fans love Mikel Arteta. We all love him.
Honestly, they really do love Mikel. If it was different at first about Mikel Arteta, it certainly isn't anymore. Arsenal fans will back Mikel Arteta to their hilt now.
Yeah, I think you don't, and I think it proves it because, even David Dein, who I've just said, who's like, what he's done for Arsenal is. He can never do no wrong. You say something against David Dein, we get our backs up. But it's like, well, hold on a minute, David. Do you know what I mean? We love you, but don't go our manager, mate.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
You've got a lot of fans out there doing that already.
Are they really? I haven't really seen what people have commented on it because I was so annoyed with it.
Just on the Mikel Arteta outburst, it's been absolutely crazy. We saw Carragher and Neville's responses to Mikel Arteta's outburst online, and any of the comment sections under any of those posts, and they are ripping Mikel Arteta to shreds. But they're all rival fans, not our fans, and they do not like Mikel Arteta. What you'll find is a bit like Marmite, Mikel Arteta. You either love him or you hate him, and the Arsenal fans love him, and a lot of the rival fans really do not like him.
But I think it's one of them things, kids. If Mikel Arteta was their manager, what football fans 100%. Are like. Whether it's Newcastle, Liverpool, Manchester United, if he was manager of their club doing what he's done, don't tell me you all wouldn't be going, oh, yeah, that's it. Guess it. You tell him, our manager. But when it's not your manager, you're like, oh, you shouldn't be saying that. Why should you be saying that he's out of order? Because we know what people are like. We know what people are like. Look, what Arteta said, we've said it before, whether he went a little bit over the top or whatever, but I'm fed up with we've seen this week about, with all the points deductions and the Premier League and people behind the scenes sort of, trying to sort of change the game, make the game worse, deducting points off of teams. People who ain't even, it's about time fans, stuck up together or got together and, and looked after our game because when Mikel Arteta comes out with things like this, right? He's not doing it for the good of Arsenal. Well, of course he is. He's mainly doing it for the good of Arsenal. But you've got to be blind if you don't think this is happening to every club. And look, again, it's because he's not their manager. If it was Ten Hag, if it was Eddie Howe, if it was Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola, they'd all be going, yeah, that's it. You stick by him. He was right. He's got every right. But because it's not. They go the other way, which is sad, really, because it should be.
Ange Postecoglou concede 4 goals against a rival, against their biggest rivals, Chelsea and Tottenham. Like if Arsenal lost 4-1 to Tottenham, and 3 of those goals were identical because we decided to sit on the halfway line with 9 men, Mikel Arteta would be taken to the cleaners. Every single pundit rip him to shreds. Tottenham fans would be laughing. We would be a laughing stock. It's crazy. So
it's Mikel Arteta.
It's Mikel Arteta. They don't
like him
because he's not. He doesn't. They don't like him because he doesn't.
Because he's got some balls.
Yes.
Because he's got some balls.
He If a question comes to him that he doesn't like, he'll put it in a way which is going to probably make you feel a bit stupid for asking it. Yeah. But I watch all these press conferences. Yeah. If there's a situation where he's going to have a laugh, he'll have a laugh. If there's a situation where it's a serious question, he's going to answer it seriously. Like, what I didn't like about Dean's comments, because obviously I'm just reading them now. I didn't even see him. But he very much implies, and it says it here, that Mikel Arteta is tarnishing the name of Arsenal. But I'm sorry.
God.
I'm sorry, David. Yeah. Where were you when all these other things were tarnishing the name of Arsenal and no one spoke out about it? Where was you then? Mikel Arteta is the reason why fans are together right now. Mikel Arteta is the reason why we are back in these conversations about winning the league. This is Mikel Arteta is that reason. So when you talk about him and say he's tarnishing the club, tarnishing the image of the club, that doesn't sit right with me, because his opening speech on his first day, is all about the image of the club. It's all about the perceptions that people have of us now and how we need to get back to where we were. It's like that. Yeah. Nothing that Mikel Arteta does is not with a view to making sure this club is seen as a top club. Getting rid of a 350 grand a week striker who's probably our record goal scorer since Thierry Henry on goal ratios is something which wasn't out of him thinking he's the big man. It was because it was a bad image for the club. Aubameyang was a bad image for the club in the end. Ozil was a bad image for the club. These were all bad images for the club, the way they were acting around. So please, do not imply that Mikel Arteta has done anything which is going to tarnish the name of the club or the image of the club.
The more I think about it, Keys, it's poor, isn't it? It's poor what he's done.
It's very poor.
Very poor.
Very poor.
Very poor.
Like, as you were speaking about it, I hadn't even seen it, so I was reading it here. And it's very, very poor. And look, so Arsenal fans, to their credit, coming to his rescue. So one row, it's poor from David Dean. It's 38 game season. We won't be the best during every single game you play. You can say we had one shot. That's fine. It doesn't change that we shouldn't have lost by that goal. It's completely illegitimate. And he's right. And that's what I didn't like about David Dean's comments there. I don't like that when I see that comment online. And that's usually the line that comes from Newcastle fans, which is, you only had one shot. You didn't deserve to win it. Why are we talking about who deserved to win when we're talking about a goal that shouldn't have counted? That's not. We're not talking about who deserved to win it, because I don't think anyone deserved to win it. If you think Newcastle deserved to win that game against Arsenal, you're blind. What did Newcastle do in that game that they deserved to win it? Because last time I checked, Newcastle had one shot on goal, and that was the goal that they shouldn't have counted. So why are we talking about you didn't deserve to win it? It should have been a draw. If anything, it should have been a draw.
Yeah, that's a backhanded comment, that isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And when you think of it, it's came from an Arsenal man who's apparently loves the club. It's odd. It's poor. I mean, and to say, he's damaging the image and etc. That's, the image has never been so good at the club. The Emirates is, the atmosphere has been. Oh look, the Ivory atmosphere was special. Do you know what I mean? But it was mainly special because of the size of the ground, and we could only get 38,000 people in there, and it was tight knit, and it was close to the pitch, and that was a lot to do with it. I mean, they used to call Ivory the library. Do you know what I mean? There was times under the lights at Ivory which was special, but considering like where we went through that stage where it was just like you could have been sitting in a library, and that was under David Dean's, tenure there. He was there when this was happening, and for what Arteta's done, he came in and said, "I want to bring back the love to the club, the fans, the stadium. Wants to make them feel, everybody feel part of it." He's done that and some, So to come out, to come out and say he's damaging the club, and he's damaging the image. It's poor. It is
and I'll read
double
a
poor.
couple because fans have been. Every statement that you read is like it's conflicting as well because the next one said which says sentiment echoed. David Dean's hugely important figure for Arsenal history. He left Arsenal around 15 years ago. The game's completely different. The media needs to do a better job of discussing these sorts of matters. Never mind the game. Society is different. Back in my days, it's a lazy analysis, and that's the reason why the press has gone to David Dein because they knew they were going to get that sort of answer. They knew they probably angled a lot of questions toward David Dein, which was sort of how would it have been done? How would you see it? Is it the same as how it would have been done? How would it be taken? How it would have been dealt with in your day? These sorts of things. The press aren't silly. They're not. Another angry gooner says, I will forever be grateful for David Dein for everything he did for the club. But to say that he's still at Arsenal, Arteta's outburst would have happened is ridiculous. Sorry, wouldn't have happened is ridiculous. Arsene Wenger was as outspoken as anyone when he felt needed.
Oh yeah,
remains an Arsenal icon, but he may have misread the room with his stance on Arsenal's outburst. So I think what that fan there is implying there is maybe David Dein was trying to see the lay of the land and see what other Arsenal fans were thinking, and he thought that maybe they were thinking on his wavelength. But there, he makes a great point there.
Got that from.
But he makes a great point there. Arsene Wenger stood on the stairs of Highbury and called out every single journalist as a liar and said, prove it. All these lies.
And I love that as well.
You're telling lies about me. Prove it. Call them out. And that also changed journalism. Now, at that point there, did David Dein wince and think, he should have done that? I'm probably sure he probably did. Because we were probably even more stuck in the doldrums back in them days. Probably more people back then were probably want to be seen and not heard. Like times have changed, and then back then the press needed to be put in their place because they were vulgar, they were vile back then, telling lies, making up blatant lies about Arsene Wenger having a mistress and doing all sorts of things because they want to fill in the gaps of the things they don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
If he didn't call them out then, they'd probably be doing the same thing now. So it's reasons why. So his outburst may be seen as something that's shouldn't have never have done, but in 5 years' time, that could be an important point.
Exactly.
The league's the referees panel's actually taken a look at themselves. They've introduced more cameras on the byline so you can see whether things have gone out or not. Like it's pivotal points like that. We can sit here and think, the game's just what it is, and we just got to get on with the results that we get. And back in my day, you just suck it up. You just scared the ref. No, don't work like that, mate. Don't work like that. We shouldn't be scared the ref. Back in the day was when they were scared the ref because they were worried about what they say would later 2 weeks down the line, you're going to get that ref again. He's going to punish you for it. You can't do that. And you can't allow refs to think that they can make rubbish mistakes and get away with it. The old whistle mafia. It's not on.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. That, in a few years' time, what Arteta's done, I think, this will probably be, people will look back on it and they'll say, this was the start of something that needed to be said in the end. Because, as I say, he's made himself sound like a bit of a dinosaur, if you like. And maybe the reason, and probably the reason why, he probably kept quiet and never said nothing under Arsene Wenger as well, when he was probably doing arguably worse. If you're in that camp, personally, I loved what Arsene Wenger did. And again, Arsene Wenger for me, there's certain people, and Arsene Wenger's one of them, who no matter what his age is, they go along with the times.
Yes.
He may be in his middle 70s, but he's not stuck in the fault when he was in the fault when he's 40s. It's 30 years back.
Yeah.
There's people like David Dein who will always be in a time warp or time machine where he's just stuck in that era and he finds it very difficult to sort of get a grasp on what it is now, and how football is now, and what is like things that are happening in the game that are causing the problems. Things that are happening in the game which are really like pissing off fans, which is ruining the game for them. VAR, is a big one. You can't celebrate goals. All these things that are just getting people down and annoyed week after week, where they just can't go to a football game, enjoy the football match, and it's just stop, start. No one knows what's going on. And David Dean's one of these people I just feel can't do that. Yeah. I'm hoping that he'll sit down and think, well, maybe, I was wrong. I shouldn't have said that. But I have a funny feeling he wouldn't. I don't funny feeling he don't. But he's just one of these people who. But yeah, sad, really sad that he said it.
Yeah, it is. Well, we know that Arsenal fans weren't having it. They pretty much were in all agreement, and although it hurts to go against David Dean there, which they all started off by saying. They were in full support of Mikel Arteta. Let's talk about the January transfer window. Steve, you'll say that Arsenal need to go and buy the January transfer window to make sure that this season's not wasted, so they can come up with a trophy. What are the key areas you think they need to be buying, and how many players do you think they should bring in January?
Well, I think because of the Thomas Partey injury. And I think because of the fact that, he's also going to be, even if fit, he's still going to be going off to AFCON in also January January the 13th, I think, if my memory serves me right. I think just for that, I think a midfield player is massively important. I think we need to bring someone in. We've got Jorginho, who's been doing excellently, in the past few weeks. Actually, probably one of our standout players, since he's came in. But, if we get another injury in that position, we really seriously are struggling then.
Yeah.
So for me, a midfield player is something that I feel we need. It's going to be difficult to get. There's been talk of a few players. Douglas Luiz is one that we all know that Mikel Arteta loves a lot. Mm-hmm. He's someone who we tried to get in the summer, and by all accounts, Luiz, wanted to come, but Aston Villa just won't let him go. Emery's a big fan of Luiz. They love Luiz. And I have a feeling it could be a difficult.
Well, didn't he?
He signed an extension in the end. A lot of players do. A lot of clubs are doing that though these days. It just means that just security, and they get more money, on the fee when they eventually do so. And you'll find, a lot of people say, "Oh, he signed a new contract. He signed a new contract. Oh, I told you he ain't going." No, that's not the way it works. I'm afraid, people. That doesn't mean a thing. Quite a few players signed new contracts in the summer or last winter and ended up going in the summer. That doesn't mean much. So, but will Villa let him go? Again, he's one of their star players this season, Douglas Luiz. That'd be tough. But midfield, I think, is important. It's probably becoming more and more evident that we need a forward player as well. It's hard to get into Mikel Arteta's mind, what he wants to do there. Whether he wants someone someone who can play as a second striker, stroke someone on the right, or a forward in the likes of Dusan Vlahovic, there's been a lot of talk recently about Arteta wanting him. I do know that he's very well liked by Arteta. He was on the list. He would have bought him. He wanted to talk to him. But he just, Vlahovic didn't want to know. He wanted to go to Juventus, which is fair enough. It was boyhood club. I don't blame him for that. And I don't see some Arsenal fans saying, "Oh, he didn't want to come to us," but he's a young man. He wanted to go to boyhood club. It's not really working out. Juventus need to sell, so keep an eye on that. But I don't know about you, mate. I think those two positions, forward midfield player, is something what we should be looking at.
Yeah, no, definitely. Arsenal are in a bit of a predicament. Jorginho has his contract's up at the end of the season, so they're going to need to do some business there, either long term or short term. So they need to tie down the contract of Jorginho. So
I think they got option for another year. They got an option for another year with Jorginho.
What would you do in that situation with Jorginho?
Yeah,
I'd make up the option, or would you look to sign him on another deal?
Yeah, I'd sign him on another deal. You know, whether it's another 2 years or something on top of on top of the option. He's like a new Mohamed El Neni. You know, someone who can, but and obviously a much, no disrespect, we love Mo, but Jorginho's levels above Mohamed. On the football pitch. So and. He's been proving like a great influence, and look, he's to say biggest praise I can give to Jorginho recently, and probably since he's come to the club, that when he starts, we haven't really missed Thomas Partey, and for me that's enough alone, to want to keep. And we do know that Mikel Arteta does love, having someone of, like or Jorginho in the dressing room. Of that age, someone who's been there, done it, who can talk to the kids, tell them what things are about. Great Champions League spirit. They've been brilliant in the Champions League this season. So, yeah, for me, mate, give him a couple of years, 100%. Yeah, but obviously still, buy someone else in and, it's difficult. We go back to Thomas Partey again. We know what he's like when he's on form. I got a funny feeling he'll go in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, he can't be relied upon. Like
he won't go in January because he's unfit. Yeah. He's not fit.
He's too good to not play when he's available. But then you'd have to rotate him quite often. So he's not a player that you can have in the team for a long run of games, and that's the problem with his inconsistency. So Russ said Douglas Luiz hasn't been injured for 2 seasons. Watch him get crocked the first game for us.
I don't. Yeah.
I wouldn't write off for
Arsenal. He's interesting. He's more. The thing with Douglas Luiz, he's more. I mean, you might correct me if I'm wrong. Russ, you might correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's more of a number 8. He's more plays in that position. I don't think he's a 6.
McGinn, it's more the 6.
Yeah, so which means if he did buy him and they did look at him as the guy, if you like, you would assume that they would be playing Rice in the 6, which, it's different. And then Luiz in the 8. Is he someone you'd want playing in the 8? I don't know. Is he that much better than Jorginho, Luiz? I don't know.
I don't know if you want him playing the 8, because then I think you might be taking a little bit weight if you play him in the 8. Maybe he comes into Arsenal and does become a 6. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I'm sure there's many other players out there as well, but Arsenal don't generally have a player that just he's a bosher. They want him to do a little bit more. So then again, it wouldn't surprise me if they did bring him in and move him into the 6. Another player.
Valovic's an interesting one, though.
Yeah, another. I was about to get onto the strikers. Another position that you said there is a striker or a forward that can play on the right. Or Valovic's names come up. Osman's another option that might be available in the summer, and Ivan Toney is a name that they keep on banning about it for the January transfer window. Do you think that the Ivan Toney is just because it's an easy one to link with any team that potentially needs a striker? The fact that he's got 6 months, the fact that he's been out, I don't know how long he's got in his contract, but it seems like he could be available for the right price.
Yeah, I think it's an easy. Arsenal looking for someone up front. So Tony's, someone who's just going to, be on the lips of everybody. So, but, with me and you have said many a times, I can't see that happening. I don't think this is happening. I've said that for a long while. I've not heard. I know there's been a few top transfer people, Fabrizio Romano to be one, saying that Arsenal's interested. I've spoken to people, very, very, very close to what goes on at Arsenal, and they're not really having it. They're not hearing that Arsenal are megally interested in Ivan Toney. Obviously there's an interest there, but they're saying an interest is an interest. They could be interested in if he was 40 million or something. They certainly ain't going to be playing 80. But, Brentford are talking about 80, 100 million. I mean, Arsenal won't even bother picking up the phone.
Yeah.
So it's not even a fault. Chelsea might be desperate enough to pay it, and put him on an 8-year contract and do what they do. Yeah. So that's a possibility. There's even talk now about Toney, the fact that he even could sign a new contract with Brentford. So yeah, we'll see. I've been talking to quite a few people who know Vlahovic well, and they rate him. They rate him. He's had a good start to the season. He's scored goals. He's strong. He's big. He's powerful. He's right foot, left foot in the air. He again. He would be a good option for Arsenal, someone to bring in. And unlike Toney, unlike Victor Osimhen, Vlahovic's possibly someone that they could get in January. Juventus have got to sell someone big in January. I've had conversations with people and people very close to Juventus, fans of Juventus, who have said that they need to sell, and Vlahovic, someone that they could get good money for, and I think it's one to keep an eye on. But then it all goes back to the same thing again on how does Mikel Arteta fit him in? But but that's for him to do.
And the right wing, I was speaking to a couple of friends the other day, and I said that I don't feel like there's too many options at the top level or just above the top level for that right wing position. Off the top of my head, I would have said Pedro Neto, Marco Elise, Kubo, the Japanese international. I think he's playing at Sociedad now. Who else? Waltz from Leverkusen. Again, be a very expensive player, very highly rated. I think Man City
he would be,
weren't they? So there's not too many. Who have you seen that you think would be a good fit? Forget what you think Arsenal could bring in, but who would you think would be a perfect fit for a good competition for Saka? Maybe something different, maybe a similar type, similar mold. What would be your first port of call there?
My first, I'd love Neto. I think he's perfect. Mm-hmm. I would love Neto. I think I liked him before. He got his injury. I mean, he's young. I think he's 22, 23. Isn't
he? So would that not worry you?
No, because I've seen the way what he's done, the way he's come back from him. He comes back as if he's like he had those two awful injuries, which kept him out for nearly a year. Sort of simultaneously. Yeah, it's nearly a year. It's like 2 seasons out.
Yeah.
Before then, he was like unreal. I was like, and we was linked with him. Arteta loves him. Arteta loves Neto, and that is 100% fact. And I'm sure if he could get him, he would. And Neto is a big Arsenal fan as well, and a big Arteta fan. This is widely known. So for me, he would be my guy. And as I say, you talk about the injuries, and look, he had those 2 big ones, like you said. He's came back. Beginning of this season. This season, probably up there with the best right-sided wingers in the country. I think he got record assists, more assists than any other player in the league. And until he went down with this injury, which has got nothing to do with his other injuries, which is previous ones. So for me, he's absolutely electric. He's quick. He's fast. The ball sticks to his feet. So exciting to watch. Again, do you know what I mean? There's going to be a lot of clubs that would want him. I know Liverpool are interested in him, especially if Salah leaves. He could be a replacement for him. But say a lot of people, seems like he's been around for ages now, but he's about 22, 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was about 26 or something. He seems to be around forever. But definitely someone who I would love. You mentioned Michael Elise there. He's a good player. I know Mikel Arteta again, he's a fan of Elise, but for me, I don't know. I wouldn't be. He's one of these players. He does it for his club, Crystal Palace. He plays well. I know Neto does it at Wolves. For me, Neto seems to have just that little bit more of what he would fit into Arsenal's system more than probably what Elise is. Neto's a worker. He runs back, he chases back, defends. He's an all-action one, where Elise is more of a slow pace, more of a Havertz type of player. So I don't think he would be someone, but for me, Neto, I'm a big fan of Pedro Neto. If we just got him in, I'll be happy.
And do you think Arsenal will actually do business in January then?
Yeah, I think from what I'm hearing, I think they definitely will. I think because of injuries, because of just reading Arteta's mind, and we spoke about the fixtures and how we've got to push on. I think we definitely do. And I think we do need a goal scorer. So look, if we're going to win, we've said earlier, if we're going to win the title, if we want to get in a title race, I think we need these two players. And I think we'll definitely bring at least one or two in. I think looking at it, probably midfield is probably more important than a forward.
Yeah.
If we're going to get one.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can get two. I wasn't too bothered about a forward, at the beginning of the season, but as the season's going on, the way injuries panned out, and not too sure whether Nketiah would be the man if we get one injury. We're just not sure, are we? That's the problem. And for us to be sure, I think we need to bring a forward in. So look, two players I think we need.
Daniel, why would you ask me to say that name? That's the Napoli player. You can't do that to me.
Yeah.
Kvaratskhelia. I'm gonna get it for next week.
Yeah.
But good luck signing the man that they've crowned. I don't know whether you saw that after they won the league last season, they did that memorial with Maradona passing him over the crown. Yeah, good luck getting him. Not going to happen.
Yeah. The sporting director of forget his name, of Napoli, actually used to work at Arsenal. So the name escapes me. So you never know, but he would cost a lot of money. And as you say, Martinelli down the middle, I'm not sure. I think we'll take a lot.
I'd rather take Osimhen. off of Napoli's hands. But one thing we can say is the next stage of Arsenal's development, which is going to be the forward line, whether it's got to be a right winger and a forward player, a striker, is going to be exciting to see what they do coming over the next 2 transfer windows. It'll be very, very interesting. That is all we have time for. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Thank you for joining us, Daniel. It's good to see you again. Good to see you, Galvo. Good to see you, Russ. Steve's trying to. There we go. Thank you for joining us, Steve. We've got sound.
Have we got sound? I think we've got sound.
We've got sound. Thank you for joining us tonight, Steve.
Yeah, you're welcome, mate. Cheers. Pleasure.
All right. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you are new to the show. If you are a regular, hit that like and hit that share button. Just had to press the copy link button. That is all. Thank you for joining us, and make sure you join us on Saturday for the post-match reaction of the Brentford game, and on Wednesday for the post-match reaction of the Champions League game against Lens. Peace out, stay safe, and wash your hands.